everyone, thank you ever so much for joining me again on these pre-recorded sessions. I really appreciate your support, thank you very much. So before we start today's practice, just a little note about equipment. Strap, dressing gown, rope, belt, that may be useful, and a block if you have anything like this handy, or maybe a massive book or something like that. Don't worry though if you don't have any of these things or anything that you can use instead of, and there will be variations that I will explain through the poses for you, so honestly don't worry. So we're going to start today's practice towards the back of the mat. We're going to be doing some variations of our standards and salutations, but also we're going to set an intention through this class as well. So an intention is like a powerful affirmation. What's quite nice about them, especially in your yoga class, is it's something else to help anchor your attention and your focus throughout the practice. But also it's just nice, and it works well with our mental state in general. So that positivity, that sense of saying I am and realising good things for ourselves really does help enhance our mental state. So you can do intentions outside of the yoga practice, but for today I'm going to invite us all to set the same intention, and I'm going to talk us through that in a second. So if you want to get yourself seated on your mat, you don't have to sit like me, because I know it's not going to be good for some of your knees and ankles. So if you rather sit cross-legged or legs out in front of you, then please do. It's really key though that you're comfortable for this part of the practice, just so we can settle ourselves and get ourselves ready. So sitting, however working for you, let the hands just rest on the lap, eyes gently closing, shoulders softened. Let's start to find our breath. Gently controlling, deepening the pace and the length of the breath. So the intention that I'd like us all to set for our practice today is I am at peace. I am at peace. So continue the breath. Just repeat those words gently. I am at peace. So I've chosen this affirmation for today's practice because the words just help ground us into the present moment, I believe. So focusing on the now, allowing us just to let anything from the past just move away from us. And also reminding us just to surrender to all the uncertainties of the future. We can't control them. What we can do though is how what we do in the present moment manage how we are now. I am at peace. I am at peace. Continuing to repeat. Trying to release any heaviness that you may have on around you at the moment. Enjoying that sense of relief. I am at peace. So we're just going to take a few more moments here. Keeping hold of that lovely depth of the breath now, we're going to open our eyes. Take hands into prayer, reach up. And hands back down. Taking hands in front of us, we're going to do a few wrist warm-ups. So making gentle fists. We're going to take our wrists around a few times one way and then a few times the other. Taking the hands out in front of you, pressing through the heels of the hands, curling back with the fingers. And then pressing them the other way. So pressing through the top of the hands now. Lifting up again. And back down. Gently bringing the hands behind us now, interlace palms together, just lift up with the chest and just gently come back. So nothing too drastic. We can do this whether we've got crossed legs or whether we're seated like I am. And moving back up, releasing up, taking arms up. And let's come into a downward facing dog, so hooking the toes. Finding down dog. As always, this first one, let's make a little bit of movement. Taking the right knee in towards the centre of the mat, stretching out through the left side of the body. And swapping over sides, left knee towards the centre, stretching out through the right. Back to centre. We're going to walk our hands towards the back of the mat. And I just want us to hang our hands on the floor. If they'll reach, don't worry if not. So hanging heavy, legs straight if it's available to you. It's a bit of a variation of a ragdoll really. Just take a breath or two here. I am at peace. And then curling our body now, lifting up through the fingertips, bringing our feet together, stretching out over towards the right and to the left, through to centre, opening the chest, to neutral, arms down by our side. So we're going to go into our salutation variations. So there'll be no chaturangas for this flow, and we'll be replacing our downward dog for dolphin for the majority of the class. So standing ourselves in mountain, shoulders away, press the energy down through the fingertips. Let's take a breath together. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, raise the arms. Exhale, forward fold, bend the knees if we need. Inhale, lift halfway, fingertips to floor, hands to the shin. And then we're going to bring our fingertips to the floor, guide ourselves down to the knees, hook the lower spine, lifting the chest, shoulders back, coming into a gentle back bend here. Through neutral and into dolphin. So we come onto our forearms, hook the toes and lift ourselves up. So adjust the feet as you need here. So your heels are very unlikely to touch the ground in dolphin pose. Make sure the head is not on the ground, pressing into the ground with the forearms. If you really dislike dolphin pose and prefer to do downward dog, please do feel free to do that one instead. We're going to drop down to the knees, lifting up, taking hold of the lower spine again, chest up, finding that back bend. To neutral, using our fingertips, we're going to guide ourselves up into a forward fold. So letting the hands hang heavy again, legs straight if it's available. And inhale all the way up we can. We're going to do the same thing again. Exhale, dive down. Inhale, lift. Coming on to our knees, using our fingertips to guide us, holding the lower spine, lift. Gentle back bend. To neutral, forearms onto the mat, into dolphin pose. Drop into the knees. Lifting back up, holding the lower spine, lifting, shoulders back, chest up. Back into that fold, so using the fingertips to guide you, coming up, resting the hands. Inhale all the way up. One more time, exhale all the way down. Inhale, lift halfway, guiding down, lower spine lift. Coming to neutral, onto our forearms, into dolphin, hooking the toes, adjusting the feet as you need. Some of you may find that you want to come quite close. Some of you may want to make it a little bit wider. Onto the knees, lifting, lower spine, up we come. Back to neutral, using the fingertips, finding that lovely deep forward fold. Inhale all the way up. And exhale. So we're going to do that same routine again, but we're going to be adding in a couple of extra poses. So again, standing at mountain, the top of the back of the mat, ribs in, hips in, hands down by our side, taking a breath. And exhale. Inhale, raising the arms. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift. Guiding down onto our knees. Holding the spine, lift. And to neutral. So now we're going to step forward with the right leg, hook the back toes. Use hands if you need to get up. We're going to go into like a high lunge, a crescent lunge. So the back leg strong and straight. Hips forward, gaze forward. Dropping to our knees. Going into a bit of a deeper low lunge here. Taking the weight forward. Coming back to neutral. Coming onto our knees, holding the lower spine, lift. Back to neutral. We're going to step forward with the other leg. Hook the back toes. Use the hands if you need. Coming up, find your balance. Dropping the back knee, weight further forward. Trying to keep that knee over the ankle though still. Lifting up and out, back to the knees, lower spine, lift, shoulders back. Up, past neutral, forearms, dolphin time, lifting up. Coming down, onto our knees, coming up into tabletop. So we're just going to do a few rounds of cat-cow here. So inhale, head up, tailbone up, shoulders back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift. Exhale. Inhale, lift. Exhale. Coming into neutral, and we're going to slide ourselves back into child's now. So open the knees if that feels okay. Onto the top of our feet, settling our head down onto the mat. Guiding yourself back to the breath. Inhale. Exhale. I am at peace. I am at peace. Lifting ourselves up. We're going to come back onto our knees to bring them together. Chest up, shoulders back. Coming in to neutral. So we're going to add a few extra poses on now. So we're going to step forward with the right leg. and moving just to a low level lunge. We're going to come up now into crescent, so the opposite way around. So hook the toes, use the hands if you need, and rise up. We're now going to come into warrior two. So we inhale, straighten it all up. Drop that back foot, 45. Arms out, lunge into that front leg. Pressing out through the fingertips, gaze down that right arm. We're going to move back into crescent now. So inhale, straighten, hook the back toe again. Down we go. Back leg strong and straight. Coming into a humble warrior now. So the arms come behind. Palms together, interlace, chest up, and the shoulder comes down towards the knee. Inhale, lifting all the way back up. Releasing the hands, we're going to straighten everything again. Back foot down, 45. We're going to bend the front leg, forearm onto the thigh and take the left arm over the ear. So some of you may want to take that back leg back a little bit more if there's space. Making sure the ribs are sucked in, the hips are in. Gaze down to the ground, framing the front foot, dropping the back knee. So this is where your block will come in handy if you have one, because we're going to come into lizard pose now. So taking the right foot out towards the edge of the mat, fingers coming on the inside. Some of you may be able to take the back knee back a little bit. So we should feel quite a strong stretch here on the hip flexor. So we can stay here on our fingertips, coming back to the breath. Or you can take it deeper, and I invite you to do so. So the full pose will be taking our forearms onto the mat. If we're not quite there yet, this is where your block comes in, or your massive book, and you can bring the floor a little bit closer to you. So you want to make sure that the knee is still tracking over the ankle. So some of you may need to adjust where your foot is. Keep the weight moving forward. Avoid coming back like this. You should definitely feel this pose. Use the breath, guide yourself back to our intention. So in the stillness, this is where our focus can be maintained. I am at peace. A few more breaths here. Lifting ourselves up. We're going to come into downward facing dog now. So nice and gently stepping back, definitely taking some movement here. It always feels good after a lizard pose. Another breath or two. And we're going to come onto our knees. Take hold of the lower spine, lifting back up into that back bend. Coming to neutral, into our dolphin, so press the forearms down, lifting up. Preparing ourselves for the other side. Dropping the knees back down. Coming back up and then stepping forward now. With the left foot, low lunge to start, so lifting through the arms, taking the weight forward. Coming into our present, so use the hands if you need to lift yourself up. So hooking the back toes. Sometimes the balance can be a bit tricky moving from low to higher. Coming into warrior two, so straightening everything up. Dropping the back foot, 45, arms out, lunge down. Strong through the core. let's come back into crescent. Inhale, straighten, hook the back toes, whoop. Bringing ourselves back down. The arms are going to come behind us, lift the chest, coming into that humble warrior, taking the shoulder by the knee. Inhale, lifting up. We're going to release, straighten it all, drop the back foot, and now the left forearm is going to come onto the thigh. We're going to take the right arm over the ear. So take a good lunge into that front leg. As with the other side, if you want to take that back leg out a little bit more, then feel free to. Gaze down to the ground. Framing the front foot, ready for lizard on this side. So taking the foot out to the edge of the mat again, bringing the hands on, coming onto your fingertips, adjusting the back knee as you need. So making sure that the knee is tracked over the ankle. So we can either stay here, avoiding, like I said, moving back with the hips, or bring ourselves down towards the ground. Coming back to your intention, back to our breath, grounding our focus. Releasing those things that we can't control. Lifting back up onto our fingertips and stepping back, downward dog. Making that lovely noise of ah once you're here, because it feels so good after that lizard. Another breath. Dropping to our knees. Taking hold of the lower spine, lift, lift, lift. Coming to neutral and finding a forward fold now. So using the fingertips, lifting up, taking the hands heavy onto the mat. Weight slightly forward into the balls of the feet. And inhale all the way up through the fingertips. Hands down. By side. So we're going to do a couple of wide leg forward folds now. So taking yourself along the length of the mat, toes pointing in slightly. Take your legs out as sort of wide as you comfortably can without feeling like you're going to slide out into the splits. So starting with our hands on our waist. Inhale. Lift up, find the extension from the hips all the way to the head. And then exhale, taking our way halfway down and releasing the hands onto the mat. Inhale, we're going to take our spine nice and long, take our head up, lifting through the tailbone. And if it's available to us, we're going to bend the elbows, drawing ourselves down towards the mat. So you want to make sure the elbows are parallel. And then if you can, start walking the hands back underneath the legs, curling your hips under as you go. So if you start to find that your hands are peeling up off the ground, just take yourself back. If you're struggling to reach the ground without bending the legs, just work with the bent legs. But if you do have something to grab hold of, sometimes bringing the floor a little bit closer to you can really help with this pose too if you've got tight hamstrings. If your head is touching the floor, or you're finding that you're resting your head on the floor, then bring your feet in slightly. It should only ever just be kissing the floor with this pose, not resting on it. So inhale, lifting up halfway. Hands to the hip. All the way up we go. Taking another breath. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale, the arms come out. Exhale, bring them behind. Palms together. Interlace the fingers. Lifting the chest. And then exhale, hinging from the hips. Coming all the way down. Taking the fist towards the floor in front of us. Trying to keep your palms of your hands together Again, start to employ the breath in. Exhale. Gently rising up, not too fast. Keeping hold of the fist. Lifting up. Gently come back. Releasing. And coming back to the back of our mat. So bringing ourselves back into mountains. Take another breath in. And exhale. Inhale, raise the arms. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift halfway. Guiding ourselves onto the knees, holding the spine, lifting the chest, so hips forward, chest lifted. Coming to neutral onto our forearms, into our dolphin. Dropping to the knees. We're going to bring ourselves onto our bum now. So either twiddle around or take the feet underneath you and extend out through the legs. So we're going to start with a forward fold. So I'm going to move myself around a little bit so you can see me. So we're going to bring the right foot on the inside of the left leg. So that knee is guiding down towards the ground. We're going to lift up through our fingertips, hinge from the hip and come over the length of the leg. So some of you will be able to grab the foot if you can. If you've got quite a good grab, then take the back of the left hand onto the sole and reach round with the right. Doesn't matter if you're only on the fingertips, eventually we'll move there, taking yourself along the length of your leg. Of course, for those of you not quite there yet, grab hold of your trusty strap. Make sure that we're pushing forward with the chest and bringing ourselves again along the length. For no equipment, fingertips either side and just spidering your fingers forward. If your forward fold looks like this, then absolutely own it. Make sure our form is good. So this left leg is strong and straight, toes are pointing up, chest lifted, we're moving forward. Another breath here. And inhale. Lifting. So now we're going to bring the sole of the right foot onto the mat. So you do want a bit of a space between the thigh and the foot, but you want the heel as close to the bum as you can. So using your left fingertips for stability, this right hand is going to come forward and press all the way forward. I'm also going to move to the side for this so you can see me a little bit better. So forward, forward, forward. So if your shoulder is moving past your knee, some of you may want to go for a bit of a bind here. So that will be reaching this right arm round and trying to grab hold of it with the other. So the knee moves back and we find a bit of a forward fold here. Okay? If we're nowhere there though, it's all right. Just keep moving forward with those fingertips. Don't grab hold of the foot, move past the foot. Keeping hold of the breath. Guiding yourself back to our intention. One more. And release. Lifting, extending the legs, lifting through the arms, and coming back down. So we're going to do that on the other side now. So extend through the right, bring the left sole of the foot onto the inside of the thigh. So either use your fingertips, use the strap, or lifting up and then moving forward over the leg. Moving forward. Avoid taking the gaze down to the knee, we just start curling. That bent knee, you want to just gently guide down to the ground. One more breath. Gently reaching it, sole of the foot onto the mat. So remember, a bit of a space Heel close to the bum, especially if you're binding. Make sure it's close as you can. Right fingertips for stability. Left one driving forward. But really pushing forward. Don't grab hold of the foot, remember. If it's available, the arm comes round. We grab it with the other. We gently guide the knee back as we bring ourselves along the length of the leg. So you won't be going as far as you did the first time. But again, the same concepts apply. We're keeping moving forward. But not there yet. Just come back here. There's no rush. Gently lifting yourselves up. Extending out with the legs now. Coming into a wide leg forward fold. So our hands are going to come flat on the mat inside. And start walking forward with our fingertips from here. So we're looking to try and get the belly and the chest on the ground, not the head. So we're keeping moving forward. Make sure the legs are active, the toes are pointing up. Long breaths. Gently lifting up. So we're going to come into a bit of a twist now. So some of you will find you can be on your fingertips, others will better come down to their forearm. So we're going to open up the chest here. We're going to take the left hand up and over the ear and moving down towards the toes. So some of you may feel better here. Some of you better come down onto your forearm and reach a little bit further down. Really avoid letting the chest come forward though, so you can grab hold of that foot. We're trying to find that stretch through the side of the body. Keeping the toes activated, legs activated. And uncurling, let's roll ourselves round to the other side. So lifting up and coming into the stretch on the other side. So for many of you who've done this with me before, as I always say, touching the toes is not the important part of this, stretching out through the side of the body is. If it looks more like this for you, that's okay. Make sure you're avoiding sort of mistakes of bringing the chest forward, keeping that stretch over the ear, all the way out. For some of you, a block may even be more useful here. So hear what your body's got to say, find the right alignment. And lifting ourselves up. Bringing the soles of the feet together now. So they want the heels as close to your bum as you can get. So we're either going to hold on to the feet and open them up like a little bit of a book, letting the knees come down at the same time. That's not available, then just grab hold of the ankles instead. That's absolutely fine. The elbows are going to come on to the inside of the knee. This is what's going to help guide our knees down a little bit, opening up the hips. So start with your spine straight. Inhale. Exhale, moving forward. As with all our forward folds, so the elbows are moving into the knees, guiding them down. Our chest is moving forward. Either holding onto the ankles, or we've got hold of the foot, opening it up like a little book. That's really going to help open the hips a little bit more for you. So we want to imagine that we want our chin all the way over there. So don't start looking down. I am at peace. A few more breaths. Gently lifting yourself up, extending, lifting up through the fingertips, hands down by sides. We're going to move ourselves onto the mat now. So onto the length of the mat. So coming onto your backs, soles of the feet are on the ground. We're going to come into a bridge pose. So taking the arms either side of you. Take a breath first. Inhale and exhale. Taking the hips up nice and high. rolling the shoulder blades in, so getting a bit more height. Well, they're going to bring the arms underneath us, interlacing the fingers, or we're going to hook underneath our hips, keeping the thighs up, hips up. Using the breath, keeping the gaze up. And gently releasing down. So we're going to do that one more time. We're going to add the option though of taking one of the feet into the air though. I will explain as we go. So taking the hips up, shoulders come in, strong through the thighs. Either taking hold of the hips or interlacing our hands underneath us. So we can either stay here, for those of you who want to, we can lift up through the right leg, taking the toes up towards the ceiling. Don't let the hips drop though, and keep the breath. Dropping down the right, lifting up through the left, keeping the hips up high. Dropping the feet down, releasing the hands and giving our knees a little squeeze in. Rolling up to seated for just a moment. So as I've done with the last couple of pre-recorded sessions, we'll say our Namastes together now, and I'll let you lay down and take as long as a Shavasana as you want to. So put on a nice song, get yourself a little eye pillow or a little blanket. Really do get comfortable, allow yourself those moments and enjoy. So bringing our hands together, inhale, exhale. Namaste to you. Hope you enjoy your Shavasana. So bringing yourself onto the mat. So remember, this doesn't have to be legs long, it can be legs bent, whatever works for you. You can take your hands either side of you, but for this one I invite you maybe to take one hand onto the chest, one onto the belly. Allowing the breath just to find its way back to its natural rhythm. And just gently repeating to ourselves a few times, I am at peace. I am at peace. Releasing yourself from any heaviness of the past. Surrendering and relinquishing control of the future, the uncertainty. Remaining grounded in the present, in this moment. I am at peace.